Okay, let's dive in. Picture this. You've got two of the most well-recognized, most powerful figures on the planet, suddenly locked in this shockingly public and really deeply bitter dispute.
It's not just, headline news. It's a conflict that, as the analysis we're looking at today points out, it escalated dramatically.
Right, and pulled in some extraordinarily serious, long-standing allegations.
Exactly. And what makes this particular clash, well, so compelling, according to the source we're digging into, is just how fast it went from, say, disagreement over policy to something far more personal and potentially explosive, touching on these issues that have, well, they've captured public attention for years now.
Absolutely. And this analysis we're using, it really goes beyond just the surface spat, doesn't it? It digs into the layers of claims and counterclaims.
It does, connecting them to a really complex and deeply troubling history, specifically the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Yeah. So our source for this deep dive today, it's an analysis from a YouTube transcript. It offers a very specific perspective.
Right.
Detailing how this high-stakes conflict reportedly unfolded, the exact exchanges, apparently, and how it all got tied back to that really sensitive history.
So our goal here really is just to walk you through this specific report.
Exactly. We're going to explore what it says about where this fight started, the back and forth that followed, and crucially, how it links to the Jeffrey Epstein situation.
And we're drawing only from the details and, the viewpoints offered in this one analysis.
Think of us as your guides, kind of navigating the different points raised in this particular report.
Precisely. We're focusing on understanding this account, right? How it pieces together the events and claims rather than, judging the truth of those claims ourselves.
It's about seeing the narrative presented in this analysis.
Yeah.
So jumping right into the report then, where does this analysis say things kicked off?
Well, it points to a moment when Elon Musk reportedly criticized a budget proposal, something Donald Trump had apparently been working on for months.
Okay. And according to the report, Trump's reaction was pretty strong.
Yeah, reportedly very strong. It says he felt very hurt and greatly disappointed by Musk's critique. He even apparently commented that, he could have won the election without Musk's support anyway.
Right. And the analysis also includes this kind of curious detail about Trump's eye, reportedly being bruised when he came to the Oval Office around that time.
Yeah, it's a specific detail they include, and Musk's comeback, as this analysis describes it.
What did it say?
The report says Musk reportedly fired back, calling Trump ungrateful.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, and insisting that he was the reason Trump didn't lose the election.
Wow. Okay, so the gloves are off pretty quickly then.
Seems like it. The report then tracks the escalation, noting Trump's reported written messages became, well, sharper.
Sharper how?
He reportedly claimed Musk was wearing out my patience, that he already asked Musk to leave.
Asked him to leave, okay.
And, interestingly, that he took away an electric vehicle mandate, described in the report as something that forced everyone to buy electric cars nobody wanted.
Right. And Trump reportedly claimed this action caused Musk to, what was the phrase, go truly wild.
That's the quote in the report, yeah. And here's a point this analysis really highlights as, significant.
Okay.
Trump reportedly issued a major threat. The report quotes him directly. The easiest way to save billions of dollars in the budget is to end Elon's government subsidies and contracts.
Oof, that's direct.
And this analysis really emphasizes that specific threat. It sees it as key.
And Musk's reaction to that threat, according to the report.
It says Musk reportedly just dismissed it, called Trump's statement obviously false and so sad. And then he added this kind of pointed comparison about their futures, saying Trump had, 3.5 years left as president. But
I will be here for 40 plus years. Yeah, I remember reading that in the analysis. Quite a statement.
Definitely. And this analysis makes a direct connection between that comment from Trump, the one about ending subsidies, and a massive financial impact. It notes that right after Trump's statement, Musk's stocks reportedly lost a staggering amount.
How much are we talking?
$100 billion in value.
Wow. $100 billion.
Yeah. The report's phrasing even suggests this comment was the head of both the stock collapse and the intensifying personal conflict.
So the analysis really pins the escalation and the financial hit on that specific threat.
It seems to draw a very strong link, yes. And as maybe further context for Musk's stance or perhaps future moves, the analysis also highlights a tweet. Musk reportedly asked if it was time to form a new political party representing the middle 80%.
Oh, interesting.
And it notes that he pinned this tweet, suggesting maybe potential future political plans.
Okay, so you've got this financial and personal dispute just boiling over. And then, according to this analysis, right in the middle of all that, Musk reportedly drops what the source speakers call the biggest bomb.
That's right. The report states Musk made this enormous accusation. It quotes him saying, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is why these files still haven't been made public.
Wow. That's quite a claim to make publicly.
And the sign-off, according to the report, was, good day, trade Trump.
Trade Trump. Okay. And the weight of that accusation, I mean, it's discussed within the source analysis itself, right? How serious it is.
Oh, absolutely. The speakers in the report really underscore the extreme seriousness. They mention terms like pedophilia, being on pedophile island, being in the files of Epstein, who sold girls. It's heavy stuff.
So maybe we should quickly cover the background on Jeffrey Epstein, but only based on what this specific analysis provides.
Good idea. So, based solely on this report, he was an American businessman, a billionaire, accused of pedophilia and sex trafficking.
Right.
He died in prison. Now, suicide was the official cause, but the report does mention this theory, that maybe he was murdered because he knew too much. It also touches on the, let's say, reported controversy around the lack of public video of his death.
Okay, got it. And the context around the Epstein files themselves, the analysis discusses that too.
It does. It mentions a process where secrecy was being lifted on, I think it's at about 1,000 pages of court files.
Which reportedly fueled suspicion.
Exactly. And the analysis specifically points to a decision by a U.S. district judge, January 4, 2024.
Okay, what was the decision?
The judge ruled that secrecy wasn't needed anymore for about 200 names, previously just Jane or John Doe, stating their release was in the public interest.
And the report lists some of those names, the prominent ones reportedly revealed in that January release.
It does. It lists Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, David Copperfield, and Michael Jackson.
Okay, now, this is important. What does this analysis clarify about Trump's name specifically within the documents that were actually released in January 2024?
Right. This is a key distinction the report makes. It explicitly states that the documents currently public show Trump was on Epstein's private jet a few times.
Okay.
It mentions flights between Palm Beach and New York, but crucially, it says they contain no information about him being on Epstein's island.
No information about the island in the released files. And how does the analysis describe their relationship based only on that released info?
It uses terms like acquaintance, friendship buddy.
Got it. Acquaintance, friendship buddy, based on the released flight logs.
Exactly. And it's also noted in the report that these names, including Trump's, were reportedly identified openly by victims and witnesses over a year and a half before that January 2024 document release, including details of alleged abuse.
So some of this wasn't necessarily brand new in January 2024, according to the report.
That seems to be the implication for some of the names, yes.
Yeah.
And one final detail from the report on this, under his initial bombshell tweet,
The one accusing Trump?
yeah, Musk reportedly added another comment. Save this tweet somewhere, the truth will come out sooner or later.
And how did the speakers in the source analysis interpret that?
They saw it as Musk implying he possesses information that is not yet public, that there's more to come out.
Okay. So you have this extremely serious accusation dropped right in the middle of a very public, very bitter financial and personal fight.
Yeah.
It's all tied back to the incredibly dark history of the Epstein case. And this particular analysis, it doesn't just report the events, right? The speakers within it, they start raising some pretty pointed questions.
You really do. And one of the most, striking points this analysis brings up is the question of Musk's timing and his motive.
Right. Because if, as the report notes, some names in the Epstein case, maybe including Trump's involvement on some level, were reportedly known via witnesses even before the January 2024 release.
Exactly. The analysis asks, why did Musk drop this specific explosive claim now, right in the heat of this financial and business dispute?
Did he only just find out? Is that what they're asking?
Sort of. They raise that possibility, but also suggest the timing could look like, hypocrisy. And they wonder if it's driven by the conflict itself, maybe using historical documents at a critical time.
And the analysis also heavily questions Musk's past actions, right? If this were true.
Oh yeah, big time. If Musk knew, whether from the partially released info or maybe this other information he implies he has, that Trump was allegedly involved in this pedophilia scandal, as they phrase it. The analysis asks, how could he have supported Trump for months, acted as an advisor? reportedly contributed $300 million during the campaign.
That's a fair qualm raised by the analysis.
The speakers in the report kept coming back to it, questioning how Musk could work so closely with someone he allegedly knew to be involved in something so serious.
And what about the other side? Does the analysis look at Trump's actions?
It does. It explores Trump's own behavior. If Trump was in the files, as Musk claimed, why, the analysis asks.
Wait, what?
Why did Trump make it a campaign promise to expose everyone in the Epstein files? Seems counterintuitive if he was implicated.
That's a point they raise. Okay.
The report also mentions that after Trump took office, the Ministry of Justice reportedly opened a critical file related to the Epstein case in February. Although the source speakers themselves kind of debate the full significance of that, given the overall delays in the file releases.
Right, so it's mentioned, but maybe with a caveat.
Seems that way. And the analysis also brings up a political dimension.
How so?
Well, the seekers ask basically if the Biden side, or maybe U.S. intelligence, could possibly have been unaware of Trump's alleged involvement, if it were true and known to Musk.
Ah, okay. If Musk knows, wouldn't the opposition know?
That's the question they pose. They wonder why such potentially devastating information wasn't apparently used by the Biden campaign during the election.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They even quote a Russian proverb, apparently. If you don't want the crime to be revealed, make everyone a partner.
Okay. How do they apply that?
They seem to use it to question why this potentially powerful political weapon wasn't deployed, if it was indeed known. Was everyone somehow implicated, or was it just not known or not usable? It's a question they leave hanging.
Got it. And what about defamation? Does the analysis touch on whether Musk's claim could be seen that way?
It does touch on it. The speakers note the extreme bitterness of this fight. They compare it to a messy divorce where people might say anything.
Okay.
So they suggest Musk's claim could potentially be part of an attack, just lashing out during this falling out.
There's a but, right?
There is. They also acknowledge that Trump's name was, in fact, included in the list of names released in January 2024.
So that complicates just calling it defamation outright.
Exactly. But they do focus specifically on Musk's claim that Trump is the reason the files aren't fully public, and his suggestion of deeper involvement based on, alleged unreleased information. That part goes beyond just the name being on a list.
Right. So throughout this analysis, the speakers keep reinforcing this point about the partial nature of the file release.
Yes, and the crucial difference between the information made publicly known via those releases, like the flight logs showing acquaintance, versus the potentially much more damaging information Musk implies he possesses or knows about concerning Trump's alleged deeper involvement.
And they present these different perspectives and questions just as points arising directly from their examination of the situation based on the info they had.
Correct. They're laying out the complexities as presented in their source material.
So as this specific report presents it, this whole situation is clearly incredibly layered. You've got intertwined personal and business conflicts.
Yep, potential political angles.
And these extremely serious allegations, all connected back to the dark history of the Epstein case.
Absolutely. And based on this particular analysis, a lot of questions just remain swirling, don't they?
Definitely. Especially regarding Musk's reported motivations for the timing of his claim.
Right. And the full extent of any information he might actually know versus what he's implying.
And that key distinction the analysis highlights. The difference between the limited details publicly released about Trump's connection to Epstein and any unreleased information Musk suggests exists.
Yeah. This report really makes you consider, in a world where these high-profile disputes play out so publicly and information often comes out in drips and drabs. What does this specific analysis reveal about how claims are made? About the complexity of information related to awful cases like Epstein's.
And all the multiple layers, personal, financial, political, that can influence how these conflicts unfold between really powerful figures.
Exactly. It's a tangled web, according to this report.
So the final thought, perhaps, based purely on navigating this one analysis is this. In a world awash with information and these really heated public disputes, what does this specific report tell us about how claims get made, the information we actually have access to versus what might be implied, and all those layers of context behind high-profile conflicts?